You open your shop at 8 a.m. every morning, same as you've done for the past 20 years, flipping the sign from closed to open while the street slowly wakes up around you. The smell of dust and tea mixing with the sound of distant traffic. And inside your shop, everything is simple. 2 chairs, 1 mirror slightly crocked at the corner, a shelf of scissors, combs, razors worn down from years of use, and a radio that plays the same local station every day. And people know you here, not as anything special, just as the barber who gives clean cuts, fair prices, and listens more than he talks. The kind of man who remembers how someone likes their hair without asking. The kind of man fathers bring their sons to. The kind of man who blends into the background of their lives so completely that no one ever wonders who he was before he got here. Because to them, you've always been here. Just another face, just another routine, just a man with scissors and steady hands. And you have a wife who believes you built this life from nothing, who saw you as a quiet man with a past he never talked about, but never questioned because you were steady, dependable, present. And over time, she stopped wondering where you came from because you gave her no reason to doubt you. And you have 2 children now, both grown. Your son works at a local mechanic shop and your daughter is studying at a university in the city. And they know you as their father, not as anything else. Not as someone who speaks 3 languages fluently, not as someone who notices exits before sitting down, not as someone who wakes up instantly at the smallest sound in the night. To them, you're just a man who worked long hours, who paid the bills, who showed up when it mattered. And somewhere along the way, this life stopped feeling like a cover and started feeling like something real, something you didn't expect to care about, something that made leaving unthinkable. You didn't come to this country by accident. You were sent here years ago under a different name, a different face, a different purpose, a place where people talked freely because they believed no one important was listening. And your job was simple at the beginning. Build a life, stay invisible, wait for instructions. But the real objective was always deeper, buried under years of silence, because somewhere inside this country there was a program, hidden behind layers of bureaucracy and misdirection, something that never appeared in official records but moved through whispered conversations, restricted facilities, and shipments that didn't match their paperwork. And you weren't sent to find it immediately. You were sent to wait until it revealed itself. Time passed slowly at first, then faster than you expected, days turning into months, months into years. And you built your routines so perfectly that no one questioned you. Not the regular customers who came in every week, not the local officials who stopped by for casual conversation, not even the men who worked in places they didn't talk about, but let small details slip when they thought no one was paying attention. And you listened, always listening, collecting fragments of information over years, names mentioned once and never again, locations hinted at but never confirmed, patterns in who traveled and when, shipments that arrived late at night and left before sunrise. And you stored everything, quietly, patiently, waiting for the moment when it would all connect into something real, something worth sending back. It didn't come from a spy or a soldier. It came from a man sitting in your chair, someone you'd cut hair for dozens of times before, someone you trusted enough to speak freely. And that day, he mentioned a facility outside the city. Nothing special, just a complaint about long hours and security checks. But the details didn't match anything normal. The way he described the checkpoints, the restrictions, the fact that he didn't fully understand what they were building there. And that was enough. Because after years of listening, you knew when something didn't fit, and from that moment, you started paying attention differently, asking questions without asking them, guiding conversations just enough to learn more without raising suspicion. And slowly, piece by piece, the outline of something bigger began to form. And over the next few years, the fragments turned into connections. The facility wasn't alone, it was part of a network. Transport routes disguised as supply chains, engineers who traveled under false job titles, shipments labeled as machinery but handled with unusual security. And you confirmed it through dozens of small moments, each one insignificant on its own, but powerful together. It wasn't just about collecting information, it was about surviving long enough to use it. Because suspicion grows in places like this, slowly but constantly. And there were moments when things almost went wrong. A stranger asking too many questions about you, A security officer lingering outside your shop longer than necessary, a customer who stopped coming after a conversation that went too far. And every time you adjusted, pulled back, became quieter, more forgettable, because one mistake wouldn't just end the mission, it would end everything. Your life, your family's life, the identity you spent decades building. And the hardest part wasn't the danger. It was pretending nothing was wrong when you went home at night, sitting at the dinner table with your family, listening to their day, smiling like everything was normal while knowing how close it all was to collapsing. It took 20 years to get what you were sent for. One conversation, one confirmation, one moment where everything aligned. A shipment scheduled differently, security tightened beyond normal levels, key personnel moving at the same time. And you knew this was it, the core of the operation, the purpose of the facilities, the scale of the program, the reason it had been hidden so carefully. And you collected it the only way you could, through memory, through observation, through details gathered across dozens of small interactions. And when you were sure, when there was no doubt left, you prepared to send it, not using anything obvious, no direct communication, just a method you were trained to use decades ago, something so simple it would be overlooked, a message hidden inside something ordinary, passed through channels that didn't look like channels, and once it was sent, there was no taking it back. You expected instructions after that, extraction details, a plan, something, but what you got instead was silence, the same silence you lived with before. But this time it meant something different, because now you understood what it really meant. The mission was over. And like everything else in your life, the ending was never going to be clean, never going to be explained. So you don't say goodbye. You can't, because goodbyes raise questions, and questions lead to answers that can't be given. So you follow the routine one last time. You open the shop, you cut hair, you smile, you listen. And at the end of the day, you close it, flip the sign to closed, and walk away. Not home, but somewhere else, leaving behind everything. The shop, the street, your family, your name. And by the time anyone notices you're gone, there is nothing left to find. No trace, no explanation. And somewhere else, under another name, you begin again, carrying pieces of every life you've ever lived, until even you don't know which one was real. Because the truth is, you didn't just live a cover, you became it. And the most effective operative isn't the one who completes the mission, it's the one who disappears so completely that even the people who loved him can't prove he ever was there.